Hello, everybody. My name's Rick McCutcheon. I'm a Dynamics 365 MVP, and I'm here today with Jay McBain from Forrester. Jay, introduce yourself and tell our audience what you do at Forrester.
Really pleased to be here. I'm the kind of the channel guy. I look at partnerships, I look at alliances, I look at ecosystems. Fascinated, obviously, with the Microsoft audience of 355,000 partners and the 7,500 new partners that are coming in every month. And how many of those are in the Dynamics channel versus Azure versus 365 or Teams or security, and kind of digging in not only there, but competitively as well. What else is happening in the accounting and CPA channels, and how all this shakes out over the next 5 to 10 years.
And what really interests me is Microsoft loves to use this term digital transformation, and this is really, we're digital transformation partners now, because there's a little bit of Azure, there's some Office, there's Teams, there's Dynamics, all rolled up into almost every solution we build. So with that many partners, I think pretty soon we're just going to be Microsoft partners.
Well, it really is. And it's a Microsoft ecosystem. Every partner is not the same, every business model. The last time I counted with Microsoft, there's 16 different business models within their channel today. 80% of those new 7,500 partners a month are non-transacting partners. They're working on influencing Microsoft. They're working on developing Microsoft. They're working on driving retention and renewals and upsell and adoption and all the great parts, but they're not resellers, of which Microsoft for the 30 years built their business on VARs and resellers and MSPs. And it's just such a fascinating world now, watching all of these business models, all of these products, all of it come together in this ecosystem.
And we're going through this pandemic right now, and we're seeing the partner channel change a little bit. As I see some partners are on an accelerated path right now. They're going very, very fast because the pandemic has kind of pushed their business forward. Where do you see some of the changes that are going on in the channel right now? And as we come out of this, who do you think is really going to prosper going forward?
Yeah, so I quantify a lot of this. I look at the millions of channel partners, again, by business model type, by customer, by industry, by geography. It's a tale of two cities. The average partner globally, if I were to smash everybody together, is going to drop about 17% in revenue. But that's not the same from one person to the next. Based on your geography, I'm in Southern Florida right now. The new epicenter, we're setting records, the wrong kind of records every day in this battle. I have partners here down the street that are down 90% in revenue. I have partners, look at partners who deal in retail and hospitality that are down 90%. On the flip side, we have partners that are up triple digits right now, dealing on automation, cloud acceleration, dealing around new threat vectors of this remote topology, this new work at home, this new future of work. So, we've got triple digit losses, we've got triple digit gains. It's really a tale of two cities, but the average isn't great. And 25% of Microsoft's ecosystem at this point, with a mid-2021 recovery and more a U-shaped recovery, a quarter of them are suspect right now for bankruptcy or financial distress, forced M&A or other things.
So I think the last thing you said there, I think there's going to be a lot of M&A going on right now. I think there's going to be a lot of partners that are going to, again, accelerate in this world, and the ones that sort of, are in these markets that are highly affected are going to slow down. And I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation in the next 12 months.
Yeah, and it's not M&A, it's forced M&A, which the difference is in December, many of these companies were looking at 6 to 8 to 10 times valuations. Right now, it's a replacement of revenue and hoping to get a workout for a couple of years in that. So it's not something you're going to retire on. It's something that your business will continue, your employees will continue to have employment, and hopefully you continue to have employment as well. So it's not what we were looking at just even 6 months ago.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about sort of some of the changing dynamics of the workplace. I know in your Inspire session last week, you talked about a percentage of the people that are never going to return to the office. They're going to sort of opt to work from home. Do you have any stats on that or any sort of background on that?
Yeah, at Forrester, we get to talk to hundreds of thousands of customers, of clients, of businesses and governments around the world. And again, it changes by industry, it changes by geography, but right now there's about 70% of the entire, B2B workforce that we believe is going back to normal. It was a day or so ago that Google announced, and they stretched their work at home now till July 2021.
Yes.
So you're going to start to see a lot of companies start to do that, and major companies now starting to rethink the future of work. Instead of how productive can you be, as opposed to having to go to a cubicle farm in a downtown, like large office tower. And, for all of us that have been at home now for, upwards of 3 or 4 months, we're starting to learn we miss breakfast, we miss lunch, we miss dinner. We're trying to log off at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Oh my goodness. I mean, I've picked up and I've delivered maybe 50 to 100% more productivity to my organization than what I ever could do, standing around a water cooler at work. So this new future of work's interesting. There's a new remote topology here, which has implications on Microsoft Dynamics, future of work, future of marketing, future of sales, future of finance, future of operations, future of HR. It has implications on infrastructure, Azure, security, compliance, risk, continuity. It has implications everywhere on automation and AI and other things. So it's a really exciting change in this industry.
And even where you buy your next home, and is that home going to have an office space in it?
Well, I mean, you have a roof, you have 4 walls and things like that, but the next criteria is, do I have gigabit Ethernet that's predictable and obviously consistent?
Yes.
So if that's the case, I'm going to start asking for not only the inspector to go in and check if my roof has leaks, but I'm going to have perhaps a local IT person go in and pressure test the network. Because on Zoom nowadays, if I'm recording 3 or 4 of these video sessions, I can have 0 outage.
Yes.
So my investment in that house will be partially technical. And if it's a cottage in the mountains in Colorado, that's totally fine, as long as I've got a consistent gigabit stream of Ethernet.
As long as you're connected.
Yeah.
So, I was talking to a couple of partners recently about this subject, and one said they feel they're getting 90 minutes a day more productivity out of their people since they've been home. And another one who had all his developers, and I remember, crammed into this little office. And, I got talking to him, and he says, I was really worried when I let my developers spread out and go home. But he said, we had a project that was supposed to be completed by the end of the year. He said, we finished it at the end of June. He said, everybody just went home and started coding. And he says, I'm never going to bring them back to the office. So I think, companies are seeing the ups and downs of that.
Yeah, and it's agile development now. I mean, you come together for your scrums, it's on Teams or it's on Zoom or WebEx or wherever you are. You've got Slack and team channels that are running consistently, in this DevOps environment. And you've got people that go and homeschool their kids for an hour. They go take the dog for a walk in the afternoon for an hour, but they're in at 3 a.m, hacking away on their laptop, laying in bed watching Netflix. So
yes.
this 90 minutes is part of that future of work. And it's rethinking, like you remember the controversy around Marissa Mayer at Yahoo and then Ginny Dennehy at IBM enforcing work at, I don't believe people at home are working. Well, this is just all collapsed. And by the way, those 2 people are no longer employed. This is collapsed. This idea that this future of work may be 70%, but that could be on a downward. It could be 60, 50, 40. Things like Microsoft Dynamics and all of your audience are the ones that are going to implement this future.
Absolutely. So on a different topic, I recently read an article that you put together on the PRM market, partner relationship management. And I thought you made an insight that I really liked. You said we had a growth in CRM, basically, between, let's say, 1999 and 2010. I think those are the dates. And then marketing automation had a big jump right after that. And you were saying that you see PRM, partner relationship management, as maybe the next area where we're going to see some escalation in this part of what we call the CRM Dynamics world. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so 20 years ago, if you're a salesperson, more of sales was an art versus a science. There was no MQLs, SQLs, sales process, sales funnel. I mean, it was, relationship, and you manage with your gut.
Right.
A small company out of San Francisco, Salesforce, got their start. And, the next 10 years was really about building a process, a set of science around selling. to the point where to become a VP of sales, you had to have a CRM, you had to have technical expertise. That was that phase. 10 years later, the same thing happened to marketing. You used to hear CMOs walk around at parties going, 50% of my advertising is wasted. I just don't know which 50%. It was a real big joke and everybody laughed around the table. But the next 10 years, small companies like Marketo and Eloqua and Pardot and HubSpot and Acton became household names in that marketing became a science. There was no hiding behind 50% of dollars. You had to track every dollar to the 7th decimal point.
Absolutely.
Become a CMO in that environment is you had to have the technology to drive campaigns, to drive very much specific SEO and syndication, and you had to be bolted down. So that was that phase. It ran for about 10 years. And now here we are. We've spent 20 years on direct sales and marketing, bolting down that piece of the business, which is fantastic, until you figure out that 75% of world trade goes indirectly. You bought your last car from a dealer, you bought your last TV from a retailer, you bought your last jar of peanut butter from a grocer. Guess what? 75% of most businesses around the world actually have to deal through third parties. So that direct sales and marketing didn't really extend into the channel. The third phase, you can still get a job today running a channel or a dealership or agents without the technical expertise. But I'll tell you, over the next 10 years, if you're not buttoned down from a technology software tech stack, I published the channel software tech stack with 159 companies who many of them you don't recognize today, but they're the new Marketo, they're the new Eloqua. And you'll start to see these companies get acquired by Oracle and Salesforce and Microsoft and Adobe as they build out their capabilities in this third stage, which is the majority of the world.
I've done hundreds of Salesforce automation implementations. And I remember 10 years ago, I ran into a pump manufacturer. And that pump manufacturer had 7 distribution channels, right? Their direct sales team plus this merriment of other, distributors, retailers, manufacturers, agents. And that was the first time I said, you know what, PRM is what these people need, even more so than Salesforce automation. So
So guess what? That pump manufacturer, 6 months ago, just added an Internet of Things device to sense the flow and to watch the humidity and watch all of these different elements. And with these 1,000 data points per second that this pump is now generating, they're the newest partner of Microsoft. They're the new partner trying to build this tech ecosystem. Who are the system integrators? Who are the Dynamics channel? Who are the VARs and resellers? Who are the 16 different types of technology service providers that are out there that are going to drive the future of my business? I have a dealer network. I've had it for years. I have these distribution networks, but now I'm building an ecosystem.
Yes.
And guess what? How do I find these partners? How do I onboard them? How do I incent them? How do I enable them? How do I co-sell and co-market? How do I manage all this? How do I monitor all this? Well, guess what? This is the channel stack.
Yes.
That pump manufacturer is one of those 76% of CEOs who think that their business model today will be unrecognizable in 5 years. They're
Absolutely.
no longer making pumps as a manufacturer. They look more like Tesla now. They're a technology company who ends up making pumps on the side. That's the future of business. Every company's going through this transformation, as you called it.
Yes.
And the ones that aren't are going to be left behind.
And I have to agree with you. So, we're seeing this digital transformation speed up. We're seeing really the partner channel that I'm involved with, the Microsoft, really, I think, help customers navigate through this. And I'm really glad that I work with Microsoft technology because I think we have the best stack to do it. So Jay, I want to thank you for your time, and I hope we can talk in the future because you're the most insightful person I know about the channel and where we're going with this digital transformation.
All right, looking forward to it.